Please welcome Dan Dinnar, co-founder and COO at Hysolate.
Okay, good evening. I'd like to start, if I can, by just thanking Liran and the staff for this amazing venue and event. So a clap of hands for them. So what I want to talk with you about today in the next 8 minutes is about rethinking the endpoint. And before I begin, I'll share with you, 2 weeks ago, we were trying to get a customer, their legal department and our legal department, to have a call on one of the contracts. And it took us about 2 weeks just to set it up because my emails eventually went into their spam, so they didn't get the emails about the meeting. Once we got the meeting, we sent them the WebEx link just to find out that their attorneys cannot use WebEx within the organization, so we moved to Skype just to find out that the customer cannot use Skype. I think you get the story. We're putting so many things today in order to make us work better and be secure, and it's starting to be a bit challenging. So I'll start with two things that I'm sure we can all agree on. One is that endpoint security is a top priority, and I think the other thing is that the CISOs are the bad guys. Now, I see half of you kind of agreeing and half of you still in denial, but that's okay. But that's what we're feeling. As users in the organizations, we're hearing a lot, we want to do this, and we're here, no. We're going to install something, no, you can't install. We're hearing a lot of no, and let's see what we can do with that. So when we talk about endpoint security, and today there's hundreds of endpoint security, when we look at what we're doing in the endpoint, we're trying to take this strong machine and trying to load it with more protection or take out of it, for example, VDI. We took this strong machine and we're just moving and working on a machine somewhere else, making it a terminal. If we look at browser sandboxing or app sandboxing, we're solving this small piece of the web out of our endpoint, but there's still that strong and bloated OS that can be penetrated and then control everything. We're putting a lot of things on the endpoint, and these solutions are not working. And the reason I know they're not working well for the organizations is because we're hearing more and more about physical air gap. We're seeing it from Microsoft when they're talking about privileged access workstation, and if you're doing privileged work, use two machines. We're starting to see a lot more in Swift with the breaches that happen. We're saying if you're doing financial transactions in Swift, do it on a machine, have a separate machine for your corporate work. We're seeing this with developers that need to have local admins and able to download things, but we don't want to give it on their machine that they're using in the corporate network. And we're seeing this with today people bringing their own laptops and wanting to use it for work. So a lot is being pushed to physical air gap. We're seeing this also in Singapore, moving it to two separate. But there's a challenge also with that. You know, with today's millennials, they don't like the lack of productivity, and they get easily frustrated if what they want to do they cannot do right away. So maybe there's another way to look at physical air gap but still maintain a lot of the things that we want to achieve, and maybe a concept of virtual air gap. To allow a user to have one environment where they can do their corporate work, the other environment or a virtual environment that they can do their sensitive work, and then have one, the dream of all users, an internet environment where I can do whatever I want. I'm a local admin, I can download, I can watch anything that I want to watch, movies when I'm traveling, have this environment that's free for the users to do what they want. When we talk about virtualization of the endpoint, I think we can all agree that we've kind of been there before. The IT departments, when we had with servers, when data centers starting to fill more and more in servers, we went to virtualization. We got a lot of benefits. Ease of use, a huge cost saving. It really allows us now to move into a hybrid environment of our data centers. And we can all agree that today it's widely deployed across many of your organizations. So let's take that concept of virtualization and the endpoint and see some of the similarity and differences as compared to servers. I think similarity, we can all see that the one thing that we all want is high-grade security. We want that virtualization to be so those virtualized environments are sitting side by side, no parent-child or master-slave relationship, that are solely protected by that environment. We needed to run on several types of OS systems, has to be centrally managed and fit for the enterprise. I think all of these are similarities with the server virtualization and very common. But when we go to endpoint virtualization, there's a bit of differences. First of all, today, a user could use any type of laptop, any type of desktop. There's many kinds. We need the user to be able to bring any machine and have virtualization work on it. We just said the word user. Different from the server world, the endpoint has a user. That user typically wants to come, do their job, finish, go home. They care about security, we educate them about security, but in reality, all they want to do is come, do their work, and go home. And we need to allow them to do this in the same ways that they're doing it today, okay, with the same level of performance, and manage everything behind the scenes. The last thing that we're seeing between servers and endpoints is that when we did the servers, we didn't care about cameras or audio, some of the hardware peripherals that in the endpoint we really need to look at. So when we talk about virtual air-gapped endpoint, the solution is to take those three environments, put all the levels of security and everything on it, but give the user the experience of using it on his own machine, doing the work that they want to do, and behind the scenes, allowing each environment, for example, the corporate, to only connect to the corporate environment. The sensitive only to our sensitive and not to have internet. And the internet, make it connect to whatever you want, local admin, download, I don't care. If it gets attacked, it's not game over, because I still have those other two environments that are still working and protected. And you know what? Make it non-persistent, so when you wake up the next morning after reboot, it comes as a clean image. This is what we've been doing for the last year and a half in Hysolate, and this is already something that's available with all these capabilities. And I think the one thing that is important is not just what you can achieve by that, but if you think of now moving the security below the OS and being that virtualization between the hardware and the OS, it changes a lot of the way that you will deal with endpoint security in the future. Ability to do snap to image. Okay, I got hit, never mind, I'll delete it, I'll bring an image from yesterday, and I'm up and running again. A lot of the things we'll do different. So to talk about this, you'll get high-grade security, you'll get the user freedom that they want, and you get IT that can manage this in a very centralized and very easy way. To finish off, I think it's time that we really look at both security and productivity and find a solution like virtual air-gap endpoint that will allow security without compromising productivity, but I would say even more, provide productivity to the users without compromising security. Having security built in from design, transparent to the user, but controlled by the organization. And if we can achieve that and bring that productivity and bring that innovation, I think that's the time where the CISO becomes the hero and they no longer say no. They say, yeah, do whatever you want, the way that you're used to doing. We'll control anything, everything from below and transparently. Thank you very much.